What is going on, football fam? This is Dave Sarner, your host of the Rise and Fall Fantasy Football Show. Welcome to the Week 6 edition here, as we're going to get into every single matchup, every single game, and every single player that you guys need to know about going into the big bye week season. And let's face it, Week 6, we're pretty much halfway through the season now, getting ready for the big playoff push. If you manage to go 4-1 or 3-2 or 5-0, you're really feeling good right now, especially with the way this season has. And if you're at 2-3, 1-4, or even 0-5, I get it. Everything looks bleak right now, but let's be clear. This is the kind of year that anything can happen. I was 1-6 one year, and I ended up coming back winning 6 straight and won my championship. So there is hope. If you guys have had a rough season, but you're making deals, you're trying to, get your team back to where it needs to be, there is still hope. And I'm hoping today I'm going to be able to help you here on the Rise and Fall Fantasy Football Show Week 6 edition. Now, before we get into the episodes, just keep in mind that we record these episodes every Tuesday night or every Wednesday morning. So if there are any news, notes, and updates that do occur after and Wednesday afternoon on, make sure you guys keep on top of that. Check out World of World, check out the Yahoo and ESPN notifications on fantasy, and make sure that you guys have the right guys in your lineup. With all that being said, let's get into the matchups here for Week 6. Now, we got ourselves the Sunday night game. We have 3 night games to get through here, guys. The Los Angeles Rams go into San Francisco and play the Niners in a divisional matchup for the NFC West. Interesting matchup here. Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, from what I know, I don't know if he's going to be here or not. I'm pretty sure they're saying he might be here, but I don't know if he is or not. If it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Nick Mullins, I don't really care. I don't think Jimmy's that good. And I think he showed that last week. Raheem Mostert, I'm comfortable with. It's not the best matchup in the world, but it's better than the quarterback situation. I think Niners are going to have to try to rely on their run, so I do like McKinnon. I like Mostert. I don't know if I like the receivers. It's a really tough matchup, and I don't like the quarterbacks. Debo and Ayuk, Bourne, I'm kind of downgrading this week. I don't like them again. Kittle, you're going to go with. It's probably the best matchup. I do think he does put up some points, but be mindful. This could be a little down week for Kittle. I have Andrews and Kelsey over him easily because of their matchups and what their production has been. But this is also a really tough matchup against the Rams. So with that being said, though, I do like Kittle this week. I do like Mostert. I like McKinnon to a degree. I don't love him. I think he's a downgrade. This is a tough matchup, guys. Again, we don't know the quarterback situation. Although 49ers defense is a tough one, it is going to be a little harder of a week. I do think this is the week they do struggle a little bit, but I think one of these receivers gets a good game going. Again, they both kind of had that same kind of game last week. I think it's going to be the similar thing. One of them is going to get 20 points. I just don't know which one, so it's a toss-up. I'm not as thrilled for this matchup overall. I'll probably be more thrilled for like Showdown and DFS for this than I will be for my fantasy lineups. Running backs, I'm avoiding personally completely. I don't trust this. Malcolm Brown comes in, steals the show last week. We're like, oh, maybe it's Malcolm Brown's show. Darrell Henderson comes in, he gets the carries this week and goes off, or he gets the touchdown. And look, now you're just getting to spread around everyone, and you can't trust that. It's worse than the Patriots situation right now. And I think if you're going to go with anyone here on the Rams offense, you go with the receivers and maybe the quarterback here. It's a decent matchup against a team that may be without Jimmy Garoppolo. So I do like Goff, and I like the receivers. Tyler Higbee's my quit of the week at tight end. I'm going to personally try to trade him. I have Tanyan, so if you guys got someone better who already got past their bye or, was on the, had the COVID thing, so they had their bye, Noah Fant and so forth, and they're coming back, I would try to trade Tyler Higbee. This pisses me off. All right, can't be trusted at all. So for me, it's Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Jared Goff. On the other side of things, Mostert and Kittle. And that's the only people I'm touching in this game if I have to. I'm not comfortable with Debo. Don't feel good about Brandon Ayuk this week. Don't feel good about McKinnon. Don't feel even that great about Kittle, to be honest with you. And absolutely don't feel good about any Rams tight ends or running backs. It's just the reality of the situation. Not really much to analyze here because, honestly, I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle when it's all said and done. But we'll see how it goes. Kansas City Chiefs, right, against the Buffalo Bills. This one's going to be cool. I think it's going to be very similar to last night, but I think the Bills will play better. I think it was a weird game last night. There was just some really annoying turnovers, and the Bills just seemed to not have it that night. And it happens. They have those games. I think you're going to see them come out angry and pissed off, and I think Josh Allen, is going to have a really good game. Even though it's a tough defense, I get it. I think the run game could do well, and the tight end's not going to do anything for Buffalo. But I do think, and this is where I'm saying this, Josh Allen in particular, I think is going to have a good game on the ground. Only 4 attempts, 18 yards. I think that increases this week with a tougher pass defense and a tougher matchup overall. I think he's going to have to rely more on the run game. And if Zach Moss is back next week, guys, I do like him to kind of be a little sleeper. Singletary just ain't doing it for me, guys. He's just not a primary bull back, premier guy who could do 3 down backs, right? He's just not that guy. Tyreek Hill, you're going to start. Kelsey, you're going to start in this matchup. Really no question about that. I mean, Kelsey's a must-start of the week, in my opinion. Wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, 17th. You're still going to start him. Tre'Davious White was out this past week. We don't know if he's going to be in this week. Running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm a little down on this week. I think Bills' defense is pretty good against that. But listen, Derrick Henry, and then we saw it last night. Derrick Henry, sure, he had 19 points and 2 touchdowns, but he also didn't really do well in the yardage. We talked about that earlier. So I think the receiving game is going to help Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week, or Helaire rather. It's not the best matchup in the world. Sorry, it's not the best matchup in the world here for the receiver, but it's decent. And again, I do love Kelsey. Mahomes is going to go off, so you have to assume Mahomes goes off that, hey, Kelsey's probably going to do well. Hill's probably going to do well. Helaire, I'm a little down on, but I do think he maybe puts up, I think he might put up a similar performance. Just be in mind that this could be one of those similar type of weeks for him. With that kind of yardage, 80 yards, 13 touches, whatever it may be. If the Bills get going hot early, especially, absolutely could be the way it is. I don't love Stephon Diggs with the matchup, but I mean, you're not going to not start him. He's getting such volume, so you're going to keep him in. And I think, I think this defense is good. The Chiefs are good, but I also think that they are beatable from that perspective. We saw Henry Ruggs do some great things against them last week on some big plays. So I think Stephon Diggs can do something along those lines. If John Brown is back, I think he might have a big play in this game. I think they see Henry Ruggs and John Brown could do that for us, and maybe he gets a touchdown in this game. I do like the 2 receivers. I'm not a big fan of the running backs this week. Zach Moss maybe more as a sleeper. Singletary is really a flex RB4 for me right now, the way he is. Even as a starter, starter status without Moss keeps him at RB3 status, but not much more than that in my opinion. Josh Allen, you start. I do love that matchup. Even though it is a little tougher again on the Bills quarterbacks or Chiefs or on quarterbacks against the Chiefs rather, I do like that matchup. And you're going to start Devin Singletary. Like I said, it's a good matchup, but just don't feel exactly excited. He's not really playing that great right now. And this could be a shootout if the Chiefs get ahead early and the Bills are going to have to pass the ball a lot. So that's kind of what happened yesterday too, by the way. They got down only 11 attempts. So the running game is very dependent. They don't really throw a lot of receptions out to these guys. Zach Moss is kind of that guy, and that's kind of why if he's back this week, I do like Zach Moss over him. So just be mindful of that. Devin Singletary is not a receiving kind of back, even though I thought he would have been that. Just be mindful that Zach Moss might end up being a guy who might get more value there if he's back. On the other side of things, you're going to start Mahomes. You're going to start Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Now, Sammy Watkins is hurt. Maybe Mecole Hardman gets a tick up here. I actually do like him as a filler if you need him, a deep wide receiver option. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're going to start him, but be mindful it could be another down week for him. Defenses. Listen, Bills, Chiefs. I mean, you're gonna start. I think Chiefs defense you're not gonna feel excited about, but I think you can do some things there. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they learned from what the Titans did yesterday, and the Chiefs can do something against them as well. They got a little healthier. They got Bashaud Breeland back. Chris Jones is back healthy and all that good stuff. So their team is pretty good on defense overall, and they're the champs. They have Patrick Mahomes. So anything can happen in this ball game. But just to recap here for you guys before we log off. The must-starts of this game, or the guys that you're going to start and put in your lineups, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, guys that we like but aren't must-starts in my opinion, John Brown, Devin Singletary, maybe Zach Moss. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're going to start, right? But I'm not feeling great about it. And maybe Mecole Hardman with Sam Watkins out could be an interesting option. A number 2 guy that you can possibly pick up that might step up with an absence and more opportunities like he did last year. With the last game on the agenda here, we have the Arizona Cardinals on the Monday night game, the second Monday night game here against the Dallas Cowboys. This should be an interesting game. It would have been so much more fun with Dak. And, listen, I'm a Washington fan. Even I'm saying, I hated seeing that for Dak. I've seen injuries like that with Alex and Theismann, and not as crazy, I think, but that thing was to the side and everything. It was bad. So I hope him a speedy recovery. I personally want to, if my team's going to win division, I'd rather beat them at their prime. So seeing him go down sucks because they are one of the bright spots on offense in our division right now. So it does suck, but we got to look at this from a fantasy perspective and make sure we have the right picks for you guys in your lineups this week. Kyler Murray, you're going to start. All right, there's no question about that. DeAndre Hopkins, I'm not even going to discuss that. They're doing their thing. They're going to score here. You want to look at the numbers here? Well, Cowboys will give up 12th most points to quarterback, second most to wide receiver, so you're good to roll with them. The questions are the other areas of the Cardinals. Do you start Kenyon Drake? He had a decent game last week, guys, but look what happened. I talked about Chase Edmonds maybe coming in, taking more of a role. All of a sudden, look what happened. Kenyon Drake, 18 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. Chase Edmonds, 3 for 36 and a touchdown. Less than half the amount of yards he gained on 15 less touches. They both scored a touchdown. And oh, by the way, Chase Edmonds got 5 more targets than Kenyon Drake and 4 more receptions for 56 more yards, making the better game. This is what this offense is going to be. Chase Edmonds is, if people forgot, Chase Edmonds was the guy that people were like, oh my God, he's going to be the next star on this team. Before they traded for Kenyon Drake, it was because Chase Edmonds got hurt that they traded for Kenyon Drake. So just remember that and just remind yourself that, hey, this is a pass-happy offense. A lot of running attempts are taken away from the quarterback here. And there's just, you're just bound to have yards and a touchdown almost every week from Kyler Murray. So that's going to hurt the running value. But the passing value is where you want your running backs on this team. And that's what Chase Edmonds brings you. I like Chase Edmonds over Kenyon Drake. I think you trade Kenyon Drake. I would even be bold if you don't have Chase Edmonds, you trade Kenyon Drake for like Chase Edmonds and another player. Try that. See what happens there. You might be able to get a good receiver, a really good receiver that you might need, and the better running back because they're going to be like, well, it's Kenyon Drake. He's a starter. Well, he's not playing like it. All right. He had a decent game, so it's deceiving. They might be like, well, he just put up double-digit points. What an idiot. I'm good with that. I'll take that. Fine. Let him take it. Take the upside with Chase Edmonds. I'm telling you, it's worth it. DeAndre Hopkins, you're going to start. I think you start Chase Edmonds again this week. Like I said, second to wide receivers, points given up. This is going to be a pass type of game. They're stingiest against the run. I think that's where you might see Kenyon Drake struggle a little bit, not much, but a little bit. And then tight ends, you're not really going to go out of your way to start Dan Arnold or Darnell Daniels or whatever. So I'm not going to go out of my way to say start them. But Christian Kirk, I do like this week. Again, that number 2 is really nice. This could be a shootout. Kenyon Drake, Kyle Murray. This is probably Kyle Murray's going to go off this week. I think he's probably one of my top guys. I think he's number 2 or 3 on my list this week. After, say, Patrick Mahomes and probably like Aaron Rodgers. He actually might be ahead of Aaron Rodgers. I'm pretty sure. I dropped my phone, so I don't know. On the other side of things, Dak Prescott's out. Andy Dalton in. Does this change the production from these wide receivers, from Ezekiel Elliott? Yeah. I mean, you'd be lying to yourself if you're saying, well, they're going to run it the same way. Andy Dalton will be able to run this the exact same way. Andy Dalton's not Dak Prescott. No matter how much people want to say, well, he's a starter and he does this, he did it. He's not Dak Prescott. Now, he has a good team around him. And I do think that some players will stay productive. We've seen like AJ Green in his prime, productive with Dalton. Marvin Jones back in the day was pretty productive with him. They had options that were productive with Andy Dalton. But guys, I just don't know if it's going to be for all 3 of these receivers. The reality is that Amari Cooper, if there's any shadowing going on, it's going to be on number 19. That's the reality. He'll have his weeks where that's going to be a struggle for him. This week, I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue, so I do like Amari Cooper more this week. Even though it is a tougher matchup, they are very tough against the passing game here. I would have said that if Dak was the quarterback. I don't care. I still would have, I'm cool with that. It would have been spread around. Dalton at the quarterback position, that does scare me. The Arizona Cardinals, now I did put an arrow here because I wanted to show, and I might start to do this now week by week when I update them, guys, is if they if they really spike up from week to week in certain areas, I'm going to kind of try to identify that too. Cardinals, they went up pretty significantly in terms of points allowed against the quarterback position. Now, granted, they played the Jets, so don't take into too much account that they played Joe Flacco, but they are pretty good against that area. They did. Let me be clear though. They did also lose Chandler Jones, so this could be an interesting area to expose for that offense. If Chandler Jones is out, I think he is. I think he's definitely out. That's a huge loss for the Arizona Cardinals defense, and that does lower some of these potential numbers for, say, the tight end. So I think maybe, well, not tight end rather, but for Andy Dalton for Andy Dalton rather to throw the ball. So I think these numbers could be a little better without the pass rush. Maybe coverage opens up a little bit. I don't think Patrick Peterson is really prime Patrick Peterson anymore. So I think you're going to see some production. But guys, I had one very bold prediction, and maybe you hold on to him for another week. I get if you want to. I'm not going to say not to. I think if you might want to trade one of these Cowboy receivers. I don't know if Dalton. I don't remember him really throwing up the kind of numbers that Dak did and getting it to every single one of the receivers. I think it's going to be very hit or miss all around. And that production might not be a good thing for Michael Gallup. I think CD, with his slot ability and him lining up in the slot a lot more, has more value overall to any quarterback. So I think Dalton will lean on him. Maybe Dalton Schultz value goes up a little bit with Dalton. I don't know. But I think the outside guy on the number one and the slot guy are going to be the guys to get a little bit more exposure. That's CD and Cooper for me. That leaves Michael Gallup. I kind of had him as a potential trade candidate right now. If you want to see how he plays with Dalton, I totally get that. And I'm kind of on board with maybe doing it that way rather than just trading him now. But let me tell you this. If you do wait, and let's say Gallup, and I'm right, he does have a down week, and then all of a sudden next week everyone's telling you to trade him, well, guess what? If he had a down week and all of a sudden everyone's starting to say it, you're not going to be able to trade him for the value that you could get for him now. So just be mindful if you need more of a running back and he's not doing as much on your team, you have good receivers and you got through some bye, whatever it is, and you can afford to, go for it. But if he's more of a focal point, like a guy who you legitimately have to think about starting almost every week because you don't have depth at wide receiver, hold on to him. See what happens with Dalton. I could be wrong. It could be one of the other guys that really kind of suffers from this. I just don't think you're going to see the same, production overall. We saw it go down once he came out. Look, wasn't great stats when he came out of the game. Dak had 166 yards, but it's not like, he came in, he put up 111. So I think he's going to need more time to get acclimated with these guys. This week's a little toughy for me. I think they're going to have to try to play keep up. And it might not work for them this week. I don't know. It could be a good thing. Could be a bad thing. I'm going to give Dalton the benefit of the doubt right now. He is taking over a very high-powered offense, so obviously he has some value. And listen, he is probably the best backup in the league. Let's be real. If anyone's quarterback is to get hurt the way they did, and a guy has to step up, I think we'd all feel most comfortable with maybe the Dallas situation and Andy Dalton, who started for teams last year, and who was pretty much a franchise quarterback for the last 10 years. So I do like the opportunity. I think Zeke is going to have to really step up here. If I'm looking down at the stats here, I believe the Cardinals are pretty good against pretty bad rather against running backs. It's their weakest position, so I think this is going to be a Zeke day. And again, on the other side of things, you're going to start Hopkins. Great matchup here. If you want to take a deep flyer on Darrell Daniels or whatever, I'm not going to tell you to. I don't like it. I don't like their tight ends. They don't utilize tight ends, but I love Christian Kirk this week. I think he's a deep sleeper and a guy who will definitely get in the end zone for you this week. And then on top of that, guys, I like Chase Edmonds over Kenyon Drake in this matchup once again. And I think in the next couple of weeks, you'll see Chase Edmonds become the main guy here in Arizona. On the other side, you're starting Zeke. You can start Andy Dalton if you need to. If you have an emergency situation, if you picked him up for Dak, start him. It's a decent matchup for him. It's not this 22nd. It did go up against the Jets, so be mindful. It was down last week. It's a little bit easier, so just be mindful of that. And then at the same time, you got Amari Cooper, could have a down week. CeeDee Lamb, I do like him. Michael Gallup, maybe trade him away. Wait on that. See how they do. Let's see the pattern this week. I do expect at least one of them to step up, but maybe not two like usual. Dalton Schultz, decent tight end start this week against the Cardinals. I don't love it, but maybe Dalton does target that, so he could be an interesting start if you're desperate at tight end as well. And with that all being said, guys, that is the end of our show here. That is all the matchups for week 6 here. We will have news and updates on my Twitter account throughout the week for anything that we didn't go over here that does come out after these episodes are finished recording and live. But with all that being said, guys, good luck on your matchups. I will have my rankings out on Sunday morning, and I'll be joining you for my live stream 9:30 a.m. every Sunday before game time, Eastern time, to go over my rankings and help you guys with any questions and lineup decisions that you need. With all that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Dave Sarner, your host on the Rise and Fall Fantasy Football Show. Have a great day and stay safe, and I hope you guys all win your matchups this weekend. That's the way.